Hello and welcome to today's vlog. We are back into the wedding diaries and today I'm picking up my wedding dress. I'm literally just waiting on my mum and my sister coming through. I will be driving through to Haddington where the shop is, which is on like the east side of Edinburgh. And yeah, I'm super excited. I'm going to show you my wee outfit. I went a little bit more of like whites and creams today. I thought it was very fitting. And this is the choice of outfit today. So I'm wearing like a wee knitted skirt, a cardigan and like a cream top. I will also be wearing light grey Timberlands and a winter jacket because it's absolutely freezing. So it's currently February. I ordered my dress back at the end of June, so it took almost 8 months to arrive. I actually messaged the shop last month because they told me it would come in January and then I didn't have any notifications, so I was just like, is this still happening? Like, have you had any confirmation of delivery? And they actually said, oh, they'll all be shipped by the end of the month, so likely come in February. So here we are. And this week also marks 6 months to the wedding, which I'm a tiny little bit in denial about because I feel like the time's just really started to fly in from when we sent the save the dates in August last year. Like, I just don't know where the last 6 months have gone. Like, they've literally just like flashed by my eyes. We will also be meeting my mother-in-law, or my future mother-in-law, in Haddington as she's driving from us Lothian. So yeah, it's going to be a good day. Hopefully go for a wee lunch or a wee coffee after, but yeah, I'm like nervous, excited, but yeah, I just can't believe my dress is here. And I'm sure you've heard of girl math, so I've already paid for my dress up front. So typically you would pay 50% or 40% of your dress on the day that you choose your dress, and then you pay the rest when you pick it up. But I actually paid everything on the day that I picked up my dress, so in a way the dress is free today.
Really very elegant.
I told you.
Shock.
It definitely feels different than the last one.
Yeah. And it was too long. Once it's the right length, obviously you'll be able to walk about in it without lifting it.
Yeah.
Alright.
I honestly had the best day picking up my dress. It felt magical and it really cemented the fact that I'm getting married this year. Like, I know with wedding planning in general, it's a bit anticlimactic because you book so many things in advance, you pay deposits, and you don't really see much things come into like fruition until the day pretty much. So picking up the dress now just really cemented that feeling of like, oh my god, it is happening this year. Now, before we close off this vlog, I actually wanted to give a bit of like an unfiltered look on wedding dress shopping and some tips and things I wish I knew as a bride myself. So the first one will be obvious, but it's the time scale and giving yourself enough time to go wedding dress shopping. The typical advice is to go anywhere between 18 to 12 months. Now, personally, I think 18 months is a bit too far before your wedding, and I think the 12 months is a bit of a sweet spot because you're giving yourself plenty of time for alterations and for the dress to actually arrive. Now, as I mentioned earlier on the vlog, I went wedding dress shopping in June last year and the dress arrived in February 2026. So I still have 6 months before my wedding and I have plenty of time for alterations. But I've also seen other brides that are getting married this year and their dresses came a lot sooner. Now, of course, if you know your wedding is sooner, you know, within the 1 year mark, if you let the store know, they can also show you the dresses that, you know, will come on time, which I think is very important because you don't want to be sitting stressing at the final hour and being like, oh my God, my dress isn't here, my alterations still need done. And yeah, it's just not really a good place to be. And you want to feel calm and you want to give yourself the time and the space to make a good judgment call on dresses as well, rather than, you know, pushing a dress because like you've not left yourself enough time. Which brings me nicely onto the next point. If you know a rough time or like the month that you're going to go wedding dress shopping, you may as well start booking your bridal appointments now, especially if you're looking for weekend appointments because they get snapped up so fast. Now, of course, we need to touch on money and the budget. If you're a bride and you're consuming social media to do with wedding planning and wedding dress shopping, you would have likely came across the mini vlogs that people do on TikTok and Instagram where they go to several shops and try several dresses on and like make a whole day out of it and like a whole experience and stuff like that. Now, I'm just going to rein you right in and give you a bit of a sense check. So for bridal appointments, you will actually likely have to pay for these, and these can range anywhere between £20 to £40. Now, of course, this is largely dependent on the shop that you're going to and also time of the week, which means weekends of course come at a premium, so you should expect to pay on the higher end of that scale. Personally, this was a little bit of a shock for me just because I didn't expect to be paying as much as £40 to try on dresses. Now, I understand why shops do that because of course you're then committed to come and you're paying for their time and stuff like that. But yeah, just something to bear in mind and maybe leaving some money aside, especially if you're going to go to several shops, which of course will add up because even if you come back to the same store, there is a very high chance that they'll charge you for another appointment. Maybe not as much as they did for the first one, but they will charge you for the second one. This is what's happened with me. On the second appointment, I paid a reduced rate, and then when I actually chose my dress, they took the cost of the appointment on that day off, but they didn't take the ones before that. So there's just something to bear in mind and, you know, keeping a little bit money aside and, you know, just buffering that in. Now, this will sound very obvious, and the thing that I've done was narrow down the shops that I wanted to go to and the dresses that I was wanting to try. I didn't go overboard and tried like, you know, 20 dresses. I think that also dilutes your own judgment, which I'll touch on a little bit later. But one thing that I would say is to literally reach out to the store. So for example, if you're on a designer website and you see a dress that you're after and you're like, oh my God, I love this, I want to try it on, you can check what store it's available in, and you should 100% double check whether that specific dress is available in that store, because what you'll find is that a lot of designers will say that their lines are available at X store, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that dress will be available in that store. So it's just something to double check, because you don't want to, you know, commit to an appointment, pay for it up front, and then find that the dresses that you want to try on aren't there. I'm saying this very lovingly, but if you've set a budget for your dress, you should definitely be upfront about it with the store so they can guide and support your visit, and so you can make the most of it and have the best experience. I think we can all get caught up with the kind of wedding, bridal era, and sometimes budget just goes right out the window. But you honestly don't need to spend an arm and a leg to get a beautiful gown, and you don't have to go crazy overboard with what you're getting either. So yes, definitely be upfront and just make sure you let the store know how much you're comfortable paying. And the reason why you should do this is because you don't want to try dresses on that are like well above of what you had in mind. I would say, you know, with wedding planning, there is a lot of stress going on in general around money. You don't want to stretch yourself out with your dress and then, you know, be really excited, get it on the day, and then feel the, I would say, pain of stress later trying to save extra money aside because you've went above your budget. I think with the stores as well, they'll be able to then show you gowns that are within your budget rather than, you know, show you something that's like £5,000 or £10,000 and then like you love it and then, you know, it's well above of what you allocated, for example. Now if you've got a 10k budget, you know, hats off, fair enough, but it's just something to bear in mind because you don't want to cause yourself unnecessarily stress and then pressure later on. Now personally, I set my budget between two numbers that I was comfortable paying, and I think that was the best way because I gave myself a bit of flexibility, but I also didn't like stretch myself out completely, that then I would have had that pressure to save money. I think the budget is super important and just knowing what you're comfortable with, because once you say yes to the dress, you're going to have to pay anywhere between 40 to 50% of the cost of the dress on the day that it's getting ordered, and then the remainder on the day that you pick it up. Now, the next point might sting a little bit, but I just wanted to touch on opinions and overwhelm. I don't think you need, you know, 5 or 8 people to come with you to choose your dress. Personally, I think the shops that allow you to bring 8 people to look at wedding dresses, you know, set you up for overwhelm. Because how can you trust your own judgment when you're hearing opinions of several people about how you look and how the dress looks? I also think that having a lot of people there and giving you opinions, you're also more likely to people please and choose something that people like on you and not necessarily something that you like on yourself. Now, the first time I went wedding dress shopping, I actually went myself and I had the best time. Like, it was just me and the stylist Hannah, and I tried on dresses and I could really make a clear judgment on how I felt in the dress. And I didn't have those other, you know, opinions kind of swimming in my head before I would even see myself in like all the mirrors and stuff like that, because that's what would typically happen. People would have a reaction before you even had a chance to see yourself in the dress. Now, of course, this is very personal, but I would take about 2 to 3 people maximum with you that you absolutely trust. And that way you can keep the magic of the dress and not dilute it with, you know, other people's judgment, opinions, and, you know, people talk in general. So like something can slip and you don't really want to like sit and consume somebody else's opinion of you in the dress, like all the way leading up to the wedding. I think it's just something to bear in mind. Now, just on the magic of the dress, it will be so tempting to like sit and stare at the footage of yourself in the dress, and I would highly recommend that you don't binge on it. And the reason for that is because the more you see something, the more you get used to it. Like, this is literally what happens with our brain. And I'll give you a really good example of this, because when you go on holiday, right, and you're away from your home that you see every single day, your home will feel a little bit different when you come back from your holiday. You'll suddenly like forget that, oh, like this was here, and like you'll enjoy being in that space again. And I think this is exactly the feeling you want to have with the wedding dress. You don't want to sit and get comfortable with it. You don't want to feel like you already know the dress. You want to have that magic and that excitement when you put the dress on for yourself. One way that I kept the magic of my dress alive, and that's what I've done even now, was give all the footage of my dress off me and it to my sister. And it was off my phone. I couldn't look at it. I couldn't like binge watch that content for the time leading up to the wedding. And that also meant I had to feel a little bit cringy asking my sister anytime I saw her to show me the videos and the photos of me in that dress. And that way, like, honestly, when I went to pick up that dress, it was amazing. Like, I felt all the feels. I can't describe to you how good it was. And I think if I was to sit and binge all that content of me in the dress, it would have just diluted the feeling because my brain would have already been used to it and it wouldn't feel as special. Which brings me nicely on to the next point, and it's about footage in general. When you're going to choose your wedding dress, you shouldn't go off the footage. And this is because if you have other people take photos and videos of you, they'll be at various angles and they're not going to be necessarily flattering. And honestly, we know how boomers take photos and videos. You should definitely go off the feeling you have in the dress and not off the footage later. And this is again kind of linking back to binging that content, because the more you look at something, you can also be a lot more self-critical. You can give yourself bad body image and just negative vibes towards yourself in the dress. And this is like the last thing you want. You don't want to sit and like criticize everything that you see because of an angle that someone took. So, you know, on the day of the wedding in general, you're going to have a photographer. They're going to make you look amazing anyway. But when you're doing the dress shopping and stuff like that, just it's something to bear in mind and just not binge it and go off the feeling more than anything. Now, this is something that I've done when I went wedding dress shopping in general. I really focused on the feeling and I tried a lot of course, beautiful gowns. But anytime I looked at myself and like, in terms of how I felt, I was like, well, it's a very nice dress, but I was like, it just didn't really feel like me. And as soon as I had my dress on, like I instantly knew. I just knew. I was like, this is the dress. I feel confident in it. I feel like $1 million. Like this is it. Like I knew right away. And this is the kind of feeling you should have when you're going shopping and when you're choosing your dress. Now this beautifully segues to perhaps the most important point, and I just want to touch on body image. I think weddings carry an enormous amount of pressure to look a certain way. And this has definitely affected me during wedding planning and like, I guess my wedding journey. I felt that kind of pressure to look a certain way before I went wedding dress shopping, which also fed into a bit of avoidance and negativity towards wedding dress shopping in the first place. I did give myself enough time to go shopping, but I was just very mean to myself because I didn't feel like I was ready for wedding dress shopping physically. And looking back, this is honestly so sad. And I honestly genuinely wish that I was kinder to myself, because there was no need to be so mean. And I internalized that pressure and that kind of like, I guess, narrative that you have around weddings. There isn't a right or wrong body to go shopping, and you're not fitting the dress. The dress is meant to fit you. With that being said, I just want to, you know, highlight that the stores will likely have maybe 1 to 2 sizes of a specific gown. So the first time you see that dress, and if you like it, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to look exactly like that and that you need to, you know, overhaul your whole life, go to the gym, run a marathon, and eat salads and rice for like the next year or so. Because when you order the right size for you, it will honestly look completely different. And you also have alterations to make it look absolutely perfect on you. So yes, it's not the other way around. You're not fitting the dress is meant to fit you. And you know, this is something I wish I told myself. Now I'm actually going to tell you a bit of, in hindsight, a funny story, because when I tried my dress on at the shop, I didn't know what size it was, and in my head the dress I ordered was the same size at the store. Now the dress I tried on was a bit snug, so in my head I was like, the dress is arriving and it's too small for me, which honestly wasn't the case, but it was in the back of my head for a good few months, and now that the dress has arrived, it honestly fits perfectly, and I need minimal alterations, like literally just to the length. And I have plenty of time anyway, because the dress arrived now in February and I've got till June. Even if I was to lose weight or change in any way between like June and August with the type of dress that I chose, this isn't going to be an issue unless like I lose all my boobage. And this brings me to my last point, which is alterations. And I completely forgot about booking alterations. I knew I would have to get them done at some point, but it just slipped my mind, and thank goodness that the shop actually told me, because alteration like bookings and stuff like that, they get snapped up really fast for summer weddings. So if you are getting married over the summer and you know when your dress is coming, then I would start booking those alterations ASAP. So it's not just booking, but actually having money left aside for alterations. Now, I am part of like my venue page on Facebook, right? And like Scottish Marketplace and stuff like this. And I see a lot of brides reaching out to ask like, where can you get cheap alterations for gowns? Like, you know, your wedding dress. And it really baffles me because you've spent a lot of money and invested in that dress. And personally, I wouldn't be trying to cut costs on the alterations because you're paying for the expertise, you're paying for them to keep your dress clean, you're paying for them to maintain their machines so they're clean, that they're not, you know, got other fabrics on them or any stains or anything. Like, you just don't know, right? And having your wedding dress given to a store that will do your alterations, you want to make sure that you trust them and you don't want to have your precious dress come back and be like, what's just happened. I mean, I understand where people are coming from, you know, money-wise for the alterations, but if you've already spent a lot of money on the dress, invest in good alterations. Like, why would you skip or try to save on something that can literally make or break your dress? I personally think you get what you pay for, so something to bear in mind. Again, like, personal choice, but I wouldn't be going to just anybody to deal with my dress. And that's it for today. I honestly could talk about things to do with wedding and planning and shopping and stuff like that all day, every day, because of course, like, I'm completely immersed in it. But yeah, I hope this gave you a bit of an insight. I know some of the things I've mentioned are a little bit of friction points for people whenever they get mentioned or when people think about them. You know, it's my personal opinion, it's coming from my experience. So this doesn't necessarily mean it will be exactly like that for you, but it's just good to know that these things could happen. If you're watching this and you're a bride, let me know in the comments how you're getting on with wedding planning and your wedding journey in general. I honestly feel like even if you don't know somebody and you know they're getting married or they've got married, it's like an instant connection bond. Like, I don't know, it's almost like you've gone through that experience or that trauma of planning. So it's really nice to like hear people's experiences in general and just learn from each other. And if you're watching this and you're just having a wee nosy about, you know, wedding stuff, I hope it gives you a better insight into someone's mind that, you know, maybe is getting married at your work and stuff like that, and you're wondering why the hell is the wedding becoming their whole personality. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!